This brief presentation is about academic freedom as human right. I would like to share with you some contents on what is academic freedom, why is it important, what are some threats against academic freedom, some examples of violations, and especially how to overcome this situation. I would like to address the first point on academic freedom as a human right by highlighting the current general context on the situation of the coronavirus. The whole world is experiencing infections with the coronavirus, lockdowns, and the economic consequences of this. These times of living in a pandemic shows the incredible importance on one human right that did not receive much attention yet. It is academic freedom. Academic freedom is very important. The corona crisis shows that once again. As a matter of fact, production and transfer of scientific knowledge is necessary for society in order to be able to prevent, mitigate, or maybe combat the problems related to the pandemic. Before I tell you a little bit more about what academic freedom exactly is, I would like to share with you some examples of recent violations that happened in Venezuela. These violations clearly show when academic experts cannot give the professional comments on problems that are their expertise. For example, on May 2020, Diosdado Cabello, who is the president of the National Constituent Assembly in Venezuela, a very powerful man in the de facto government, threatened the Academy of Physics, Mathematical and Natural Sciences in his national TV program, and he threatened experts who published a study that warned a possible high increase of coronavirus in Venezuela.
Gabriel Bastidas, Academia de Ciencias Físicas, Matemáticas y Naturales, proyecta que el pico de la pandemia en Venezuela podría darse entre junio o septiembre, con 4.000 nuevos casos por día o con 1.000 nuevos casos por día. Estima su registro de entre 63 y 95 por pocas pruebas PCR. Yo le voy a decir algo. Yo leí este artículo y leí las referencias. Esto es una invitación para que los organismos de seguridad del Estado llamen a esta gente. En verdad, esto están generando alarma, no tienen ni una sola prueba de que el Estado no está haciendo los exámenes correspondientes, pero ellos dicen que el gobierno miente, presumen que el gobierno miente. Esto es una invitación a un tuntún, a los que hicieron este informe. Digo yo.
He called to start an operation named Tuntun. Tuntun means knock on the doors of the experts and threaten them by policemen, by parapolicial groups, by military groups, but by people who support the revolution that the de facto government tried to develop. Also in March 2020, the university professor and director of the Graduate School of Medicine at the University of Zulia State, Professor Freddy Pachano, was threatened after speaking out on the coronavirus pandemic. This made it impossible for him to freely speak out on this important topic.
Bueno, no les extrañes que aquí traten de inventar primero alarmas como esas, que en estos momentos son para nosotros temas de seguridad de Estado, que tiene que ser investigado. Este señor Pachano, tiene que ser investigado. La investigación es para que nos informe. Ahora, si es falsa la información, está comunicándola abiertamente, yo lo voy a pedir inmediatamente al fiscal del Ministerio Público que inmediatamente levante un procedimiento contra ese señor.
Other case, on September 2019, at the conference on Maracaibo's Day, engineering professors of the University of Zulia did not participate for fear of retaliation. after they received threats from the state authorities. Experts were not allowed to analyze electrical problems in Venezuela. Venezuela experiences long blackouts of around 10 hours per day, which cannot be solved when experts cannot do their work. Another example, in 2020, the Venezuelan state prohibited a documentary to be shown and debated in universities. This documentary, called Chavism, the Plague of the 21st Century, criticizes Chavism. Chavism means the ideas of society ruled by socialism by former President Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. So we have another example of violation of freedom of expression, of censorship, but also we have a violation on academic freedom by preventing the debate in university classrooms. Actually, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights Special Rapporteur on Economical, Social, and Cultural and Environmental Rights, REDESCA in the acronym in Spanish, mentioned that this case was a violation of academic freedom. We wonder, how is it possible that key issues in a society cannot be analyzed because of the fear of possible retaliation? All of the mentioned situations have the same consequence: a society in darkness that cannot further develop itself, and a university that cannot face problems that can be scientifically debated by the academicians. What is academic freedom? Is it a human right? Is it protected by international human rights law? The answer is yes, but it needs far more international protection. According to international human rights law, academic freedom means the freedom of members of the academic community, individually or collectively, in the pursuit, development, and transmission of knowledge through research, study, discussion, documentation, production, teaching, lecturing, and writing. Academic freedom is essential for those in education, research, administrative, and service function. The Lima Declaration on Academic Freedom establishes also all members of the academic community have the right to fulfill their functions without discrimination of any kind and without fear of interference or oppression from the state or any other source. The ultimate goals of academic freedom is democracy and development. However, authoritarian regimes restrict academic freedom and university autonomy. They target the university since it produces critical debate and knowledge. Next to that, they also target academicians, professors, researchers, but also university students, all of them as key actors for democracy. It is very important to say that populist and authoritarian regimes are used to target opposition politicians, human rights defenders, critical journalists, but also critical academicians. These governments use the criminalization of protest, arbitrary arrest, unlawful prosecution, unenforced disappearance, discrimination, and budget suffocation against university and university students as recurring patterns of their actions. What is academic freedom's main purpose? It is to protect the production and transfer of scientific knowledge. Academic freedom has not received a lot of attention and has therefore not been highly developed as a human right within the international normative architecture since the Second World War. This is striking, especially since academicians have always contributed to human rights movements and championed research into human rights, women's rights, LGTB rights, rights of indigenous peoples, etc. This has been incredibly important, but ironically, academia has turned a blind eye to its inherent human right, academic freedom. It is Very interesting that most people never heard about academic freedom, and that even lawyers, diplomats, professionals, and also scholars don't know that it is recognized in some international law regulations. For example, in International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, additional protocol to the American Convention on Human Rights, in the area of economic, social, and cultural rights, the Protocol of San Salvador, in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, in the American Convention on Human Rights, in some UNESCO recommendations, in some declarations, as the Lima Declaration on Academic Freedom and Autonomy of Institutions of Higher Education. Broader international regulatory protection is required on academic freedom and on the principle of autonomy of higher education institutions. In order to conclude, why is academic freedom so important? What are the main threats related to academic freedom, or how to overcome this? Academic freedom is very important because it's a strong relationship with democracy and development. And how to overcome different threats on academic freedom? I think we should raise awareness, make visible the violations on academic freedom. For example, we in Aula Abierta, Open Class NGO, are producing reports documenting cases in Latin America, but also the development of strategic litigation and international advocacy is very important as well. The collaborative work and the articulation among university human rights centers, NGOs, is very important also. And I recommend to increase the research on academic freedom topics as a very important issue. In order to develop a more robust human rights law on academic freedom, it should be debated the relationship between academic freedom and right to education, the freedom of expression and opinion, and the freedom of association. And it should be understood the strong relationship with democracy and development of academic freedom. I would like to invite you to watch our next videos. They are related on international advocacy work on academic freedom, accomplishments and challenges in Latin America, and they will be focused on some ideas for the debate on international standards on academic freedom. Now you know in short what academic freedom is and why it is such an important human right to protect. In the next video, I will tell you a little bit more about this.